What's up, world? This is Sophisticated Investing Life here, and we're going to discuss the top 5 growth stocks in particular you need to buy for 2020 and beyond. Now, if you watched any of my past material, going back to 2017, 2018, I was definitely more of a growth investor, right? It wasn't until February of 2018 when my portfolio was hit hard by all the volatility that happened. Was when I started changing my tune a little bit more, becoming more defensive, right? And I've been paying a lot of attention to what hedge fund managers who have that kind of growth bent, but also think in more of a defensive or quality mindset. I've come to taking a liking to their approach. So I'm trying to apply that approach here for my own portfolio. I think you should apply it to your portfolio as well, especially for those that are interested in growth investing. So with that in mind, I'm going to take an approach that one successful manager has taken in particular, who's beaten the market pretty much every year since 2009 since he got into the market. But then again, it's the bull market, but it's been working. So I like it. So let's go through the criteria right quick. First off, we're going to apply his triple 10% rule, right? So his triple 10% rule is he's looking for stocks that at least in the past couple of years have grown by at least 10%. Their sales, they've grown earnings by 10% and have at least a 10% profit margin, right? So it's like a bing, bang, boom. You got your growth coming from the past, and you have a little bit of quality with a higher margin than the S&P 500. The average margin for the S&P 500 is about 10%. All right, so that's criteria number 1. Criteria number 2 is stocks must have some type of defensive aspect to it, right? Some type of defensive quality aspect to it. So that can be the business model itself. It can be the type of customers, that customer base, or it can even be stock characteristics, like having what would be like a lower sensitivity to the market. So a beta below 1, or have a management team that buys back stocks. Actually, to learn more about management teams and how they play a role into analyzing any stock, make sure to check out that video in the card above. Very important framework to start off, no matter where you are in your investing career. Now, lastly, I'm not gonna go after the easy names, the FAANG plus Microsoft stocks, right? We're just gonna avoid them, right? So who would pass this criteria? Facebook and Alphabet definitely will. Amazon in its own way, if you adjust some numbers a little bit, would pass. Netflix is questionable, man. Netflix, I don't know if I'll ever touch that stock because it's looking a little rocky. But of the FAANGM stocks, yeah, those are the easy ones, right? We're here to talk about stocks that aren't easily discovered and maybe underappreciated, even though they are growing very well and have very good defensive characteristics. Now, with that criteria in mind, make sure to tap that like button. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, become more of a sophisticated investor, and let's get started. So let's kick this off with a stock that I've actually pitched a while back in one of my older videos, and that is Edwards Life Sciences Corp. Ticker EW, with a market cap around 50 billion, right? So Edwards Life Sciences designs, manufactures, and markets a range of medical devices and equipment for advanced stages of heart disease, right? The company's primary product is its transcatheter aortic valve replacement. Wow, that's a mouthful. Yes, it's all that. So this transcatheter is used with certain patients for whom traditional open heart surgery is not optimal, right? Something maybe with your nerves is off, or your body just can't take actual surgery. So this is supposed to help with minimal invasive surgery or even avoiding surgery at all. Edwards Life Sciences actually have a solution for that, right? So they also have other transcatheter heart valves. Also have certain rings that you could put around your heart valves. Repairs damaged valves, you already have them in. They're all about the heart and trying to find different ways to avoid surgery if needed, right? Now, the company passes this triple 10% rule, with past sales growth being about 14%, Past profit growth being about 13%, and profit margins being about 18%. Now, what are those defensive characteristics with Edwards? They have little to no competition in the space, mainly because, it's patents. Patents is protected. I don't know how long those patents need to last. So if you're going to look at this stock, definitely do some research on that. But, that's very helpful. Patents block off the competition for the transcatheter business, right? Also being in healthcare, which has traditionally been seen as a defensive sector, not the biotech stuff, but outside of biotech, healthcare is seen as defensive. It has a beta below 1 at about 0.8, depending on which service you use. They have a small buyback yield, so there is some stock buybacks that are happening, which more importantly means no shareholder dilution, because that can work against you very quickly if you don't pay attention to it. Now, the valuation of this stock is pretty high. Let me give you a warning now. The valuation for all of these stocks are kind of high, right? But one thing to keep in mind is that valuation doesn't save you, all right? It doesn't keep you from losing money. What keeps you from losing money is defensive characteristics. So keep that in mind. You can go the value route, the valuation route, right? That's the route most people teach. But another way to keep yourself from not losing markets in the not losing money in the stock market is to have stocks with defensive characteristics like Edwards Lifesciences. Now, next is a favorite of many investors on YouTube, many hedge fund investors, even Buffett himself. And that's Visa, ticker V, with a market cap over 400 billion. Very high. So, as we all know, Visa is the largest payments processor in the world, processing payments in over 200 countries and processing over 65,000 transactions per second. It's ridiculous, right? Now, due to the thematic trend of the world using less cash and using more electronic payments, it's easy to see why Visa is growing at a fast clip, right? So past few years, Visa has grown by 15%, grown sales by 15%, grown net income by 26%, and net profits margin is over 50%. Ridiculous. On top of this, Visa pretty much operates in a duopoly with MasterCard. There's a lot of lower end competition, right? You got Discover, you got American Express, and you got people trying to enter into the space like PayPal. But in terms of the broad reach of everything that's being done, is mainly Visa and MasterCard that's mainly controlling industry, right? So less competition than you may think, right? So you got that. The company has a beta under 1, also pays both a dividend and buys back stock, right? So shareholders are rewarded across the board. So this definitely works, and I can definitely see why a lot of investors like this one, including Warren Buffett. Definitely loves this stock. And speaking of Buffett, would you like to learn more about how Buffett was able to build wealth so quickly and stay above everybody else? Most of the wealthiest investor in the world today, and the media totally misses the boat on what made him successful. It wasn't value investing. It was these 3 secrets that I talk about in my free PDF that's in the description below. So make sure to download that PDF so you can get those 3 secrets and use them to grow your account to 6 or even 7 figures in no time. Now, next up on the stocks we're going to pick is Tyler Technologies, ticker TYL, with a market cap of around 11 billion. So it's barely considered a market cap. In some people's eyes, it's not even considered a market cap. A large cap. So Tyler Technologies provides a full suite of software solutions and services that address the needs of cities, counties, schools, courts, and other local government entities. It's not that many solutions out there. Tyler is one of the only ones, right? Now, some of Tyler's services include web-based solutions for real-time public assets to a variety of public information, as well as electronic commerce solutions for traffic tickets, utility bills, and taxes. So trying to help smaller municipalities or courts or just local and state governments kind of step their technology game up, right? That is Tyler's bread and butter. And when any local government needs help with that, it looks like they go to Tyler, because Tyler's growing really fast and I don't see it ending anytime soon, right? Past sales growth is at 16%. Past profit growth is at 31%, and net income margins are at 12%. So they passed the test, right? And some of those defensive characteristics include the customer base. When you can get the government on board, it takes a lot to get them on board, but once you get them on board, those are sticky customers, right? They're not going to move, right? It takes a lot to move them, right? So that's very good. The business model itself, which has recurring revenue aspects to it, right? So the recurring revenue is very important because it's almost like that's guaranteed revenue pulling forward. So you can see coming from existing customers, which makes it easier to grow. When you have to continuously sell to new customers over and over and over again, that's very hard to do. With Tyler Technologies, about 60% of their revenue is recurring. So it comes from past existing customers where it's like contract based. So that's very good to hear. Very limited competition. Most of their competition is local from whatever governments they're looking at. They have a beta below 1, and they also have a little bit of a stock buyback program, which helps, again, shareholder dilution. Now, next on the list, TransDigm Group, ticker TDG, with a market cap around $30 billion. And it is also another fan favorite, at least in the hedge fund community. TransDigm manufactures products for electronic, power, fluid, and mechanical motion control onboard commercial and military aircraft and helicopters. So they're in that kind of flying space, right? And they also supply products, all things airplane, so cabin structures, lighting, pallets, and a whole other applications. Just a lot of different products, right? But what's more important to me is also that customer base, right? So TransDigm's customers include Boeing, isn't that funny? Why would I say that? Why would I even say that? Boeing, Airbus, Bombardier, and even the U.S. government on the defensive side, right? So business is booming for TransDigm, with past sales growth being at 18%, net income growth being at 15%, and net income margins also being at 15%. And some of those defensive characteristics, I already talked about the customer base. When you have enterprises where they need you, they need what you're selling, they're not going anywhere, right? So that's one. The non-cyclicality of their business, again, when you get the government bought in, I'm not saying you're golden, but you're pretty good. Market beta just below 1, and they haven't issued shares in the past 5 years. Now, is it as good as a company that's buying back shares? No, but they're generating plenty of free cash flow, plenty of cash to work with where they don't need to, right? So I feel confident saying that. Now, last but certainly not least on this list is FleetCor Technologies, ticker FLT, with a market cap around $26 billion. Now, FleetCor is a provider of specialized payment products. The company offers fleet cards, food cards, corporate lodging, discount cards, and a lot of other specialized payment cards and payment services. These solutions enable FleetCor's customers to both manage and control their commercial payments and even loyalty card programs. Now, who are some of these customers, right? You have commercial fleet operators, truck drivers, major oil companies, petroleum marketers, apparently, and you even got a number of, this is another theme, you got a lot of governments that are involved in this. If they want to control costs, instead of just paying out cash, they're going to give you a certain specialized card so you can only use it for one certain aspect, right? So like buying food, for example, is a real big one. Your food budget is on one card. So that is pretty good. Let's look at the triple 10% rule right quick. And sales growth is above 12%. Net income growth is above 30%. And net income margins are at 37%. Really good. Now, some of those defensive characteristics, I just talked about one company, Tyler, having 60% recurring revenue. Well, FleetCor has 90% recurring revenue, right? So it's really easy for them to grow. They're the largest player with limited competition. They started buying back stock, which is very big. Again, going back to that shareholder dilution, you don't want that to play a role, right? You don't want the stock, them offering more shares to play a role. And I keep bringing it up because it's very important. Matter of fact, I just made a video about this, right? I'm going to have a video coming up, so check that out in the card soon about how to beat the market every year. And one of those things to keep in front of the markets every year is watch out for shareholder dilution from certain companies. And there you have it. Top 5 stocks, growth stocks in particular, for 2020. And they all got a little bit of a defensive characteristic to protect you on the downside. As you all can probably tell, these are stocks that I have either owned in my portfolio in the past, or owning now, or plan to own in the future. And I hope you consider adding them to your portfolio as well. Do your own due diligence though. Don't come saying it was my fault if things don't work out. So do your own, but I think you will like what you find. So will you be adding these names? Let me know in the comment section below. And don't forget, download my free ebook, free PDF on Warren Buffett's top 3 investment secrets, but took his investment game to the next level, and what you can do to take your game to the next level. That's all I have for you all today. So until next time, thank you for watching, and stay sophisticated.